Hi, and welcome to another episode of A Better Place. I am your host, Angelique Martis Remou. Today we will be talking to a pediatrician, a well-known one on St. Martin, and his name is Dr. Ofringa. He will be discussing with us, moreover, about the topic of pediatrics.
The same nail color day after day.
Not me.
New Revlon Top Speed Nail Enamel. Cool color with a built-in top coat that sets in just 60 seconds.
With Revlon, you can change your mind again and again and again.
New Revlon Top Speed Nail Enamel.
Are you ready to jump?
Yeah, I've got the very pretty insurances parachute.
Is that a good quality parachute?
I don't know, but all the things they told me about it sounded very pretty.
Well, okay then. Let's do this.
Hey, 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 hey,
Gotcha! Hey, I've got you, man. Relax. I've got you.
I gotta get myself one of those Henderson Insurances parachutes.
The right coverage when you need it.
Dr. Ofringa, welcome to A Better Place.
Thank you.
Today we will be talking about pediatrics, and the first question I have for you is, what exactly is a pediatrician?
Easy question. Long answer. A pediatrician is a doctor who is specialized in the treatment of diseases of children. Children defined by 0 to 18 years. And then the new part of that profession is the care for the newborns. And nowadays newborns are not always born at the moment they should have been born. There are also many premature babies nowadays. And we know now a whole lot more than about 30-40 years ago how to take care of those premature born babies. So that's also part of the profession. And actually sometimes you even start a bit earlier, because it could also be that a gynecologist is calling and asking help to start thinking about an unborn baby. What is wise, when should it be born, because so and so problem occurred with mommy. Okay. So it is taking care of children from very young till about 18 years of age, in a sense of disease. In different countries, and now I talk about European countries, there are distinct type of doctors. There are youth physicians who take care of the kids who are not sick, who follow the development and the growth and whatever of normal kids. And the pediatricians take care of the kids whenever there's any ailment, disease, and then you need to try and find out from what is what and what can we do about it.
So tell me, how long does it take for someone to study to become a pediatrician?
Well, let's start at the beginning. Primary school, secondary school, and then in the Dutch system that's VWO, and not less than VWO, and that needs to be stressed, because there are unfortunately quite some kids who think they can do with less training. Then you won't be a doctor. That's quite simple. Then you need to be lucky to enroll in a medical school, which will take you on at least 6 years, usually a little longer, and after that an additional 5 years.
So what kind of degree do you have after the 5 years then?
In the Dutch system, if you finish your medical school, you are in the old system doctorandus, so masters in science, and then you do a little training in hospital, rotations, 1 or 2 years, and after that you try to get into that pediatric training program. And then after those 5 years, if successful, you may call yourself pediatrician. So doctorandus for sure, masters in science, and then additionally that professional training.
So you're telling me that it takes about 11 years to become a pediatrician?
Minimum 11 years after secondary school.
Wow.
But that's minimum, because not everybody is so lucky to enroll in medical school right away. And in Europe at the moment there is a delay between medical school and the specialistic training, and that delay may also be a few years.
So what do you do in the delay? If you've completed your first 5 years, what can cause the delay?
The delay is usually induced by governments who want to regulate everything, and they look around and they say, hey, there are enough pediatricians, we should not train so many, and then after a few years they implement their decision, and then it starts rolling, and at the end of the 5 years, after 5 years thinking about a decision, then the whole situation is entirely different. So at the moment, for instance in Holland, there is simply a shortage in pediatrics. Shortage in having sufficient pediatricians. That's one reason. Another reason is that in the last 10-20 years the whole medical field in Europe has become a female profession. Means the enrollment of students is 70-80% ladies, and to enroll in pediatric further training about 90% is female. If you look at those consequences, then you'll see at the end of that whole trip, you're about 32, 34 years of age. And if you're female, then it's about time to think about children, if you want any. And getting children and working full-time is not so easy. So most ladies, pediatricians, work part-time in the Netherlands. So you need to train a double amount. And that simply didn't happen.
Wow. So what is the distinction between a general practitioner? You already explained what a pediatrician is. But then if you take about 11 years to become a pediatrician, then with the 5 years you are a general practitioner?
Not anymore. Not anymore. That used to be so in the 70s. But around mid-70s, and actually I was the first generation who started studies and was not automatically GP anymore at the end. From 1975 on, all students who enrolled in that study and finished it successfully were basic doctors, general doctors, and after that there was 1 year more training for family doctor. Nowadays that's 3 years after the normal basic 6 years. So also a GP is a specialist nowadays. And a GP is a specialist in everything. So a GP is an extremely difficult profession because a general practitioner needs to know everything from 0 till end, all people, 80, 90, 100. And then, yeah, on one hand it's difficult, on the other hand he has a little advantage because if things are getting complicated, then he is able to refer to a specialist in the field he thinks the problem is. So in the case of children, if any real big problem, then he can refer a child to a pediatrician. If something happens in an adult, imagine a 50, 60-year-old gentleman with pain on the chest, he could refer to a cardiologist or an internist to check on the heart or the lungs or what else.
Together again.
A good party, a splash of red wine, a lingering memory. So we invented our Scotch-Brite Easy Erasing Pad that cleans surfaces, and with a flip, the white polymeric foam erases ingrain stains forever. Scotch-Brite, smart, simple and clean.
Dr. Ofringa, can you tell us a bit about Dr. Ofringa? Give us a brief history as to who you are.
My history, long time history. Let's start somewhere end of my medical studies. I ended up, after a long talk, in Aruba to do my rotations, clinical rotations. At the end of studies, and Aruba and Curacao were in the same pool of education, so I also had to travel to Curacao many times. And I finished up studies, and then I enjoyed this part of the world. So I already had in mind to become pediatrician, and I simply tried to combine things, become a pediatrician and staying a little longer in this part of the world. And I did get the opportunity to start pediatric training in Curacao. So I stayed over there for a little more than 4 years, and then went back to Holland to finish the whole pediatric program and started working there. Being on a conference in Curacao, although living in Holland, a professor from Guadeloupe, a French professor, came to me and asked me to consider joining the pediatrician on the French side in Marico, François de Coon, and to me that was fascinating, interesting, intriguing, so I got a ticket and went to visit François de Coon, and we easily agreed that it would be a nice idea to move. And after some deliberation and lots of paperwork, because at that time it was not easy from Dutch doctor to become French doctor, I ended up in Marico. And starting there, which was not so easy, because at that time it was not really well organized, but I was only there for a couple of weeks, and then I got a phone call from the, at that time, manager of this hospital, Dr. Kibbelaar, and he asked me whether I could help him out because he needed a pediatrician urgently. And that was my introduction on this side of the island. 17.5 years ago, more or less.
What made you decide to become a pediatrician?
Ooh, that question is easy. Actually, during studies I was already busy doing work and research in human genetics. And at that time the human geneticist did not really exist as a professional, but people from pediatric backgrounds or neurologic or some others did enroll into that field of medicine. Now I found that mighty interesting. And that was my prime interest first, to first become a pediatrician and then maybe later a geneticist. The pediatric part that materialized, and I did quite some research also in genetics but also in different fields, but I enjoyed myself in general pediatrics, and that's what I'm still doing.
Okay, you've been practicing for quite a number of years on St. Martin. Has there ever been a need to have more than one pediatrician? Because for as long as I've known you, it has only been Dr. Ofringa on the Dutch side of St. Martin.
There is absolutely a need for, in my opinion, at least 3 pediatricians. I hope that will materialize in the very near future, because at the moment I think this is not the way it's supposed to be. This island is changing pretty rapidly. I've seen the changes in the last 20-25 years. You've seen all the changes. It was a beautiful, small population, but it's rather packed at the moment, people from all over the world, and we're getting more and more people. We know more and more, we can do more and more, people desire and request more and more service, so we absolutely have a need for at least 3 pediatricians here. Quite agree with you. We had a few ladies. Dr. Gedanis was here for 1.5-2 years. Dr.